So to build off of what we were working on last week and the week before, masking, at this point what we've learned what to do is how to take different objects and essentially isolate them. So for example, let me look at my file open. Here's a couple of examples. If you found a chair or a sofa that you wanted to put into a project, now you can pull it in without a white background, or even if it was within a space, you can take it out. So there's many different examples of this, objects that we want to isolate. Do you mind shutting the door for me, Sid? Thanks. I think there's a class that's going to be getting out soon. So before we hop into this week's stuff, here's what I want to do real quick. I'm going to do a quick review. Maybe a couple of the different selection methods. Mostly what I'm interested in is how to combine the different selection methods. So let me ask the class. I'm going to ask you guys two questions. The first one will be, how many of you guys thought it was easier to combine the methods? And then how many of you thought it was a little bit more difficult? So let's start with the first one. How many of you thought it was easier combining the methods? Good. How many of you guys had difficulty trying to combine them? Okay. Good. You might be shy. I mean, sorry to put you on the spot. Raise your hand if you had a hard time with this. But I think, I hope you guys saw that it makes life easier to combine the methods so that you can start really finely grabbing things. So what I'm going to do real quick is I won't necessarily be doing like the fine selection of things, but what I would like to show you is maybe some troubleshooting, like what happens when you first start working on a project. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I want to, let me see, what kind of, oh wait, this is already PSD. Okay, we'll just start with this file right here. So if I wanted to quickly select something, I will do my magic wand. But why is it giving me like a no? Why is it saying I can't select anything? Sorry? So right now I am in the quick selection because I do want to select this right here. And I don't think, I can't show you my mouse. Right now, the icon on my mouse is like the no sign, so it's a circle with a no. But I am in quick selection, and when I click, do you see what it's saying? It's kind of telling me what's wrong. What's wrong?
Your layer's not selected.
Yeah, so I'm going to click one more time. So it's saying could not use quick selection because no layers are selected. So over here, I only have one layer, but is it selected? How can I tell if it's selected? Yeah, super light gray, and if you look even closer, you kind of have the white corners that highlight. So good. Now that I've got that selected, I can come in. Now I got most of the roof pretty well, but see if I zoom in, let me zoom in here for you. See how I got a little bit too much of the roof? Now staying just in my quick selection, you guys can't see my cursor again, but my caps lock is off, so I do see the circle with the plus sign in it. What can I hit on my keyboard right now to subtract this from my selection? Good, yeah, if I hit Alt, on my screen right now, the circle with the plus in it is now a minus. So now if I select things, do you see how it's taking it away from the selection? So now I can just quickly try to take this part of it out. You could even, if you didn't want to stay in quick selection, I'm going to do the Alt one more time. You could even, like at this point, if you wanted to switch over to like poly lasso, if I wanted to add to it, what button would I hit on my computer? Shift, good. So this is an example of what you guys probably did with the strings over the weekend. You just did a lot more. Oops, sorry, I meant to add you. Or maybe I'm going the opposite way because I can't see where my ants are. Nope, I want to go the wrong way. So this one I want to take out, sorry. I couldn't see the edge of it, so I got a little sidetracked. There we go. And now I just need to clean up a couple more areas. So let me get that out of here. And I won't go through and do the entire sky right now. Sorry, I'm not going to do every rung on the ladder, but just enough so you guys could see how I could fix the selection a little bit more. Okay. So here's my selection. So I grabbed the sky. What should I hit now to mask it? Yep, so we've got this little white rectangle with the dark circle. Okay, so it masked, but it did the opposite of what I wanted. Do you guys remember the shortcut? Control I, good. So that inverts it for me, so it just flips the mask. If you look over here on the mask, you can see it white on top, black on bottom. Black on top, white on bottom, as I kind of toggle through. Now, if I wanted to see a preview on my screen of the area that's masked, what button do I hit on the keyboard? What am I hitting right now? Slash, yep. I heard a sh in the crowd. I'm assuming that was slash. So you can do that. Okay. That's where I want to start today. So everybody's project should look pretty similar. Again, I still have this the sky in the background here, but let's pretend it's perfect, and I lost some of this too. So now that we know how to mask individual elements, it's a matter of combining all of those different elements into a file. So the point of this project was to pull in a new sky. So one of the first things that we'll do is we're going to go online and try to find a sky to put in this image. So let's start with that. Let's all hop. I'm going to go into Google Chrome. I'm just going to write the word sky and then click on images. So this is where I'll meet you guys. Let's hang out here for just a minute. Okay. Can you guys think of a technical question or something that we should think about before we download something? Yeah, so lighting is one of them, but I think the first thing would be the size. So let's see what happens if we were to let's grab two different skies and see how they come in differently. So do you see this first one that's 1920 pixels by 960? Let's download that one. So I'm going to click on it, and then over here in the preview I'm going to I right click and do save image as. And it looks like it's going to work. It does say JPEG. And then I'll also do the small one, the 500 by 333. I don't know what those sounds are. Is that you, Olivia? Okay. Okay. I'm like, it sounds like it's coming from you, but I couldn't tell. So over here it's called Pexels. So it's just two over from the one that we downloaded. It looks like this. Let's grab both of those. And I will meet you guys in Photoshop right here. You don't even have to open them yet, but when I don't hear clicking anymore, that'll kind of let me know that you're ready to go. Great. So depending on the computer you're on, it might not be set to automatically open up JPEG. So for example, like down here, if I click on one of these, do you see how it's not opening in Photoshop? And that doesn't really help me. It's not that big of a deal. I can just recognize that it's not opening in Photoshop. I can go into Photoshop and hit Control O. That's a shortcut for open. Or go to File, Open, and open up those two cloud files. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. You can open both of them at the same time, so you don't have to come back to your open menu. So everybody with me so far? We have an ArtSpace file that we've taken out the sky, and now we've downloaded two different options for the sky. Does that sound about right? Okay. So I'm going to click on the Pexels photo first. I'm going to show you guys a couple different ways to move one file within the other. So let me just pick one of these. I'm going to close one of my ArtSpace images. Okay, here's the first way, and go ahead and do this with me. On your layer where it says background, right click on it, and this is really particular. Oh wait, maybe it's not doing it. I'm going to have to check this in our other file, because in all other versions you had to be on the layer name and not on the image, but we'll try it in another file. Go ahead and go down to duplicate layer, and right now if you just hit OK, do you see how it duplicates it within that file? That's not quite what we want to do, right? So let's right click again. Do you guys see the difference now? Now that it's an unlocked layer, do you see how it makes a difference if I click on the thumbnail versus the name? Okay, so to do it correctly, click on the name, right click on the name. We're going to go back up to duplicate layer. And then from here, do you see there's a menu that says destination, and then it asks you what document to put in? So destination document. Pull down on there and tell it to go into ArtSpace, and then OK. And here's what's even great. Instead of calling it background copy, I'm going to call this sky. I'm going to call this one Pexel. And I hope that when it goes into the new file, it gives it this name. Again, we want to be organized with our layers.
Is there a way to rename it after you've done it?
Yeah, absolutely. Let me hop into the file. Good, so I've got Sky Pexel. So Sid, at any point you can click on a layer and then click on it again, or double click on it, sorry, and then you can rename it. I think you can even go to right click and rename. Let me see. Copy. Do you guys see rename on here or no?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's why.
Yep, so just double click on it. Okay. So what do you guys think about this sky? Is this going to work for our file? No, it's a little bit small. I'll show you what happens if we do want to try and use it. Everybody hit Control T for me. And you have to be in the move command. Do you guys remember what Control T does? Yeah, it transforms. So see how we can make the sky bigger? Now, can you guys see on my screen what happened to the sky? It's pretty pixelated, right? Yeah. We don't want it to look like we have like a Nintendo Mario Clouds pixelated sky. I'm going to turn this sky off, just in my layer panel, and I'm going to come over to the Cumulus Cloud file, and I'm going to show you guys one more way of pulling a file into another one. You guys ready to see the second way? Yeah. Okay. So in this second way, what you can do is click and hold on the background layer. So I'm going to click it and hold it. And do you see how I'm kind of dragging it across my screen? What I want to do is come up here to the top and find the file that I want to put it in. And do you see how it changed my screen to the ArtSpace file? Then what I need to do is here in ArtSpace, this is where I let go of it. I'm going to do that one more time. So I'm going to go to the Cumulus Cloud. On the name, I click and drag. That means I'm holding my mouse, I'm not letting go. I find Art Space, then I come into the file and let go. It's a little bit picky. I'm going to try it one other way. If you're just even off to the side of the file over here, oh, okay, it was nice that time. I've had some times where it didn't go in because I wasn't exactly in the file. Okay, that's how you can bring in a different sky. And if I hit Control T on this one, we've got plenty of sky, plenty of pixels to make it smaller because it was such a big file. Do you guys see that? Okay, go ahead and spend maybe 5 minutes online finding a different type of sky. Whatever you want, try to bring it into the file. Sid, I saw you turn around a couple times. Did you have a question?
Yeah,
Did it come in super small?
yeah.
Let's see what's going on there. So cumulus cloud, right? Oh, you know what I think may have happened? You probably downloaded the thumbnail. So go back to Google and click on the picture and download it one more time for me. So not from there. So click on the picture first. There you go. And off to that's the full size. If you click on it right there, it'll just give you what's called the thumbnail, and it's pretty small. So I'm going to go ahead and start recording. Are you guys ready for me to start projecting? Yeah? Okay. Hello again. All right. So now we've got a sky in the background. And what I'd like to do is to kind of let you guys know where we're going with this week, and then also next week and the week after. So this week we are just doing basic masking and transformations and combining things within a file. So we brought in a sky, but we're also going to look at adding other things. In just a minute we're going to hop online and find like people or dogs. Those are pretty easy to bring in. But do you see why bringing in a square sign might be kind of tricky? Right? Because if I put a square sign on this building, it doesn't match the perspective, right? So we're not going to do anything that would require like skewing or perspective. That's in a couple weeks. Next week, I think we're going to be looking at lighting. So lighting and also coloring. Let me make sure. So again, for this week, we're just doing some basic transformations. And then we're going to be looking at like matching the light and even recoloring things as well. Yes, there we go. I'm just looking at the assignment. So, and then in week 5, we'll do what's called advanced transformations. Okay. So for this assignment, our exercise, we just pulled in a sky, and we're going to pull in a couple other objects. And then that really sets up what you guys will be doing for your homework as well. Let me just go over that while we're here. So the Villa Savoy project, that's that white modern building, the White House. For that one, part of your homework will be to add a new background to reflect a scene native to Utah, okay? And insert an object of your choice that also represents Utah, okay? So easily recognizable. And usually when you add the Villa Savoy to a new background, a good rule of thumb is that the smaller the building is in the background, the better. Typically, if the house is huge, it covers up most of the background, and it almost looks like it's taken from an angle that's not believable. But like hiding it in the desert, hiding it in the mountains, that usually ends up a little bit stronger than some of the examples. So make it as believable as possible, and then think about it for a couple seconds. So you are taking a house, putting it in a Utah background. Think about what type of an object you can add that might be synonymous to Utah. Could even be like an inside joke. I might not get it, but what comes to mind for you guys? Anybody want to share what they thought of? What's the state bird?
Seagull.
A seagull, okay. Favorite college football team? There's only one answer. Anybody? Yeah, you can talk about the other one too. That's fine. I've seen so much in this assignment. Like I saw somebody last year was pretty funny and he put in a crashed car because of bad drivers. It's like, oh, okay. So really I just want another object that looks like it could be in the scene. And in fact, I'm gonna kill it, but I hadn't seen this before. Somebody brought in a dinosaur and I was like, oh yeah, we totally have dinosaurs here. So really just something else. So when I say believable, we'll keep photoshopping until it looks real. For now, let's just bring them in. Sid?
No.
Okay, I thought that was a question. Talking about the Salk Institute, same thing. So you guys are adding a new sky background because the sky on the day that I took it isn't great. And you'll be placing the paraglider in the scene. So you've prepped these two files, you know, the Salk Institute and the paraglider. But I'm going to be asking you guys to add 2 objects of your choice to bring into the scene. Now this year, I will preface this by saying, don't bring in things that are cartoons. Like as fun as they are, you can't really Photoshop a cartoon. Last year, I had so many. I had Pokemon, I had Pac-Man, I had so many cartoons and they looked really good. But the lighting on a cartoon will always be really bright and unbelievable. I'm looking for objects that we can play with the lighting so it looks as real as it can get, like as unbelievable as it is. I still want it to look real. If you have to have a cartoon in there, add it as a third object that's just kind of there for you to have fun with. Okay? Do you guys see where we're going with this? Just in like the couple things that I showed you. So right here I have 2 objects of your choice. That is part of the assignment, and then a third for extra credit. Now, I should note on here, the third object for extra credit still can't be a cartoon. It has to be something else, okay? Any questions about these 2? No? All right. So with that, let's continue on this one right here. We've got our sky in here, and we want at least 2 more objects. So think about, this is downtown Salt Lake City. What do you guys see downtown that we might want to Photoshop in here? Or what do you not see downtown that you might want to Photoshop in here? Give me some ideas.
I feel like a bird scooter.
I love it, yes! I don't know if we had as many of those last year, so I'm going to look up bird scooter. Perfect. Yeah, and there are a ton. I'm surprised. I think even these, so you could get like a series of, you know, these 4 and put them in there. It would be more appropriate if it was fallen over to its side, but yeah.
Do you want us to use that picture?
I would say for this one, get whatever you'd like. We can all kind of venture off to see what might work best. And again, just to kind of review, when you find the picture you want to use, make sure to click on it first. So I click on it, and this opens up the actual image so that you're not just downloading a small thumbnail. I'll just kind of work along with you guys. I'm going to try to isolate the bird scooters.
It won't let me open my file. It's saying that it's not the right type of.
Oh. Why don't you look at your download to make sure it's a JPEG and not one of those JFIFs or whatever that ended up being. What kind of a file is it? Okay, yeah, so make sure right click again and do save image as and not like link or something. So I'm going to use the magic wand tool again just because I like it, but I went pretty small on the handle. I'm only at 9 pixels. And one thing I don't know if you guys have noticed this yet, so I'm going to point it out so you can start noticing it. But an image that has more pixels will be easier to mask versus something like this that doesn't have a lot of pixels. Photoshop doesn't necessarily have as much room to look for edges. So I lied, I'm not using Magic Wand. We're going to go to the polygon tool, the poly lasso. What are you guys using for yours? So Magic Wand people, throw up a hand. Lasso people? Okay, only 2 hands went up. People who are ignoring me, hands up. Linda, which one are you using? Just out of curiosity.
With the poly lasso.
Okay. Shannon, what about you?
I'm trying the quick selection.
Okay. Quick selection was not nice to me, but we have different files. So the quick selection and the one you're using is probably a lot better. Anybody here using the 2020 version and using the fancy one? How's it working for this? Good. Kate, you are too?
Yeah.
I love using it at home. The way we do our network install, it might not be in our best interest to try to do a version change in the middle of the semester, but I have asked. Yeah, Pam. Are you?
Yes.
Weird. I wasn't even projecting. Well, I mean I am, but what were you trying to do when it froze?
Open the cumulus.
Is that where it froze last time? That's really weird. Where you are right now, go ahead and down here at the bottom, do you see where I am? Right click on Photoshop and see if you can get it to close the window. So Photoshop icon, right click close.
No.
Oh, you do? Okay, so you just have to do a hard restart. So press the button and see if you can restart it. Okay, now if you look at my screen, hope is not lost. I can hit the Alt key and keep tracing.
Is there a way after you've masked it
Mhm.
to go back in?
Yeah, and keep like adding or taking
Yeah,
away.
'cause I
Mhm.
had a really hard time doing that when I was doing.
So it isn't necessary. It's not that it's easy, but it's just not very exact or intuitive. Like what I would do, this is typically what I end up doing is I usually just do like a blob in the area that I'm trying to bring back or take away, like even with the brush, so I can at least see what I'm doing again. Does that make sense? So first answer this. Are you trying to bring something back or take something away?
Both.
Okay.
Two separate times.
Yeah, so what I would do is again, just grab the brush tool and just either bring back a really unrefined area so you can at least see what you're working with. So Sid, here's a really sad example that I'm going to go through. See how mine ended up masking? right? So what I can do now is I can just hit B for brush, and then it's white, so it should just go ahead and bring it back. And then really quickly, so you can just kind of see what you're working on. Pamela, do you want me to stop projecting so you can log in? Are you at that point yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Pretty tiny, right? So do the best you can when you pull in objects. Again, this isn't, you know, like a construction document class where things have to be exact, but they at least have to be believable. So take a look around at like doorways. You know, I figured that the scooter has to be about half the height of the doorway, which is why they ended up the size that they are. So try to eyeball it your best, and I will always give you some advice on whether it should be bigger or smaller. But are you guys okay to keep working on this for a bit? And then in just a bit we'll walk around and see what objects you added.
How do you resize it again?
Control T for transformation. I'm going to go ahead and start recording again, so it might be an awkward break. But what I'd like you guys to do is click on Embed Image, and this is the part where your screen might be different than mine. So if you wouldn't mind taking a look at this before you go, but I want you to upload it in your Canvas files so that once it's in your Canvas files, you can select it. So I'm just going to grab one of these again. I'll just do this one again. Then you can click on Upload, and that's all you need to do, so that when people scroll through, then they will also see your Valentine. Okay? I think this is the one part that throws people off, is when you hit, again, Reply, Embed Image, make sure that the image is in your course file so it can be embedded. And this has to be done before the start of class next week. And I want you guys to, at the very beginning of class, we'll open up the discussion, and the one that you think is the best, that you like the most, give it a like, and whoever has the most likes wins some extra credit. And you get to look at some Valentines just for fun. Okay? In order for it to post so that we can see them, we have to take our Photoshop file and save it as a JPEG. And up until this point, we've just been turning in Photoshop files. So let me also show you that part, and maybe do a quick test to see if you're comfortable doing both before you go, to make sure that you get your assignment in on time. So using our ArtSpace project, okay, I want you guys to go up to File and then Save As. Okay, so File, Save As. Go find my folder again. Okay, and do you see under File Name, there's an option that says Save As Type, and right now mine says Photoshop PSD. Do you guys see that on your screen as well? Okay, click on the pull down, and we want just a regular JPEG. It's the first one on the list, not the 2000 or the stereo, but just a regular JPEG. So again, File Name, and then pull down JPEG. And then when you hit Save, it might ask you a couple questions. So see how it's asking me, always make sure that the quality is up to the maximum. So just take this little guy right here and pull it up on the large side. You could even come over here and grab maximum, either way. Then once you click on OK, in that file location, let me hop back to it. Let me go to View, let's go to Details. Do you see that now I have an ArtSpace JPEG file? Okay. So try that before you go. And on the discussions, I can even once, you guys will know this better than me. Once you guys make a comment, can you delete it? So that if you wanted to test it, you could. Do you know if you can delete discussion comments? Okay. All right. So if it doesn't work, remember, you can delete it and try it again. But in order to get points for this, it has to be embedded. It can't be a link that somebody has to open. They should just be able to quickly scroll through and see all of the different images. Okay? I don't even know how to delete this, but I'm going to try to figure it out.